come hear the hullabaloo of our tuba. Hear the tickety-boom of our drum. Hear the tweedledee of our woodwinds. Hear the plinkety-plink and banjo strum. And when the razzmatazz of our brasses begins to pizzazz in the air something grand, better get ready to hear and better get ready to cheer the one and only genuine original family band. Play it loud, play it proud, for together here we stand. The one and only genuine original family band.
Cheer the one and only genuine original family band. We can play with virtuosity, waltzes, marches, polkas, and mazurkas. We can play them sentimentally, or just like the music of the circus. Hear the hullabaloo of our tuba. Hear the tickety-boom of our drum. Hear the tweedledee of our woodwinds. Hear our plinkety-plink and banjo strum. And when the razzmatazz of our brasses begins to pizzazz in the air something grand, better get ready to hear and better get ready to cheer the one and only genuine original family band.
That's our song, and that's our family band playing and singing it. Grandpa Bauer is our leader, but Papa and Mama are very important, and all we kids play too. My name's Mayo, and I play the tuba. Laura plays the flute, Quinn, the baritone horn, euphonium, Rose, the cornet, Nettie, the flute, Lulu, the trombone, Sydney, the field drum, and my oldest sister, Alice, the cornet and trombone. We've been playing together ever since I can first remember, and we sing and dance too. We've had a whole lot of exciting things happen to us, but I'd like to tell you about how we decided to move to Dakota and all about the election campaign of Cleveland and Harrison and how we helped to
Our sister Alice and her boyfriend, Joe Carter.
They don't want to hear all that mushy stuff.
It's the most important part of the story, and you won't tell it right, Mayo.
Laura, you keep out of this. I'm telling this story.
I'll keep out if you tell it right, but if you don't, I'm going to interrupt.
It all started one day when we were rehearsing in the barn. Grandpa had written a campaign song for Grover Cleveland, who was running for president on the Democratic ticket. He had written to the bigwigs of the Democratic Party to see if we couldn't come to St. Louis, where their convention was to be held, to play and sing it for Mr. Cleveland. Even though Grandpa hadn't had any answer, he still kept hoping, and he still kept us practicing. Everybody was getting a little tired, except me. And even I was making mistakes, like booping when I should have been umpiring.
Suddenly the mailman came, and Alice went running out to meet him. Sure enough, she found a special letter, and she went off by herself to read it. I knew it was from Joe Carter, and I just bet she would marry him someday. But Grandpa thought it was awful for Alice to be writing to a man she had never met. I thought it was romantic.
The reason Grandpa didn't like him right from the start was because he was a dumb Republican.
Mayo, I knew you wouldn't tell the story right. You're going to leave out the best part. The letter said that Joe was coming to see Alice. Boy, did she get excited. We all did. We all got dressed up and waited.
And the first guy that came wasn't Joe Carter at all. And Alice thought he was at first, and it was funny. But it was really a man from the Democratic Party who came to see Grandpa about his song. And so we all got together and played it for him.
In the frozen winter of '76, in a place called Valley Forge, came a time for a man of destiny, and his name was General George. 'Twas a time for a man, and he was the man for the time. 'Twas a time for a man, and he was the man for the time. In 1861, our ship of state was sinking. Again came a man of destiny, and man by the name of Lincoln. 'Twas a time for a man, and he was the man for the time. 'Twas a time for a man, and he was a man for the time. In our land today, there's a man who's tried and true. He's what this country needs, but it's up to me and you. Stephen Grover Cleveland is the man this country needs.
Let's put it over with Grover. Don't rock the boat, give him your vote. Let's keep our country in clover. It's up to you, he'll follow through. He made the White House shine like a lighthouse over our 38 states. 1889 is the time to fall in line behind one of destiny's greatest statesmen.
Let's put it over with Grover. Don't rock the boat, give him your vote. Give your vote to a man who's the leader of men. Let's put Grover over again. Let's put it over with Grover. Don't rock the boat, give him your vote. Give your vote to a man who's the leader of men. Let's put Grover over again. It's the time for a man, and Cleveland's the man for the time.
Well, the man liked our song real well and said that he thought there would be a good chance that the whole family could go on the train to St. Louis and play it for the convention. This made all of us real happy, especially Grandpa. He said, "You see, there's nothing you can't buy with a song. No door you can't open with the right kind of music." And he gave us the downbeat on another favorite song of ours.
Who invented music? We'd like to shake his hand, 'cause music casts a spell on us that we can't understand. Must be some magician designed the magic plan. He changed his wand to a baton, and that's how it all began. When the rhythm pounds and the harmony sounds and the melody rolls around. Presto change-o, we're 10 feet off the ground. And when the rhythm pounds and the harmony sounds and the melody rolls around, right from the downbeat we can be found 10 feet off the ground. When everybody puts his heart in it, everybody plays a part in it. That's how music magic is made. Everybody's toes get happier, everybody's feeling happier, lighter than air, out of his chair, 10 feet off the ground.
When the rhythm pounds and the harmony
we really played it and sang it and marched around and danced, and Alice was really clowning around like she always does and blowing her cornet, and who should walk in but Joe Carter? Was Alice upset? She went running off into the fields.
It wasn't funny to have Joe see her for the first time when she was fooling around, blowing a cornet, and kicking up her heels. It's no wonder she was embarrassed. You wouldn't understand, Mayo. You're a dumb boy.
Huh.
Anyway, Joe chased her, and they made up all right because Joe invited her and all of us to go to the meeting that night where he was going to tell everybody about Dakota and how great it would be to go and live there.
Laura, I'm supposed to be telling this story?
Well, okay, but tell it right then.
That night, there was a big torchlight rally in the park. Everybody in town was there, and we all went too. Mr. Carter was on the platform giving a speech about Dakota and answering questions. Then he sang a song about the place.
Where the roots grow deep and the winds blow clean, where the air is sweet and the summer's green, where virgin fields await the plow, a great tomorrow is dawning now. Dakota, Dakota, where a man stands tall. Dakota, Dakota, where there's land for all. Rolling rivers embrace the plain, where someday there's gonna be golden oceans of blowing grain just as far as your eyes can see. Black hills, the blue skies of the shining west. Dakota, oh Dakota, by the heavens blessed.
Where the roots grow deep and the winds blow clean, where the air is sweet and the summer's green,
Where virgin fields await the plow, a great tomorrow is dawning now. Dakota, Dakota, where a man stands tall. Dakota, Dakota, where there's land for all. Rolling rivers embrace the plain, where someday there's gonna be golden oceans of blowing grain, just as far as your eyes can see. The black hills, the blue skies of the shining west. Dakota, oh Dakota, by the heavens blessed.
Joe Carter's song convinced all of us that we should move to Dakota, even though it meant giving up our chance to go to St. Louis. We got to sing our Cleveland song, though, for when we arrived in Rapid City, Dakota Territory, we found Joe Carter leading a Republican street rally. Grandpa was a dyed-in-the-wool Democrat, and he couldn't resist the chance to create some excitement. So he gave us the downbeat on "Let's Put It Over with Grover," and that broke up that Republican rally pretty good.
Yes, and Joe Carter had to rescue us from that mob of ruffians who were trying to upset our wagon.
Laura, I'm telling this.
But you don't even know the whole story.
I do too, I know it all. What part don't I know?
About how Joe proposed to Alice.
So they got married, so who cares about proposals?
Girls do.
How do you know about it anyway?
I was there. Joe and Alice went walking in the woods, and I followed them.
That's sneaky. That's eavesdropping.
I don't care. It was romantic, and Joe sang to Alice, and she sang back.
Bout time, we had a little taste of wasting time like lovers do. I'll waste a little time alone with you. Bout time, we two were living out a lovely dream come true. Bout you, bout me, bout love. Bout time, we spent a little time with no one near to watch me while I say a little something in your ear about how I care, about how I want to make my feelings clear about you, about me, about love. We're in deep water, darling, clear over our head. About time to either sink or swim.
Let's swim.
Enough said. About time, we didn't have to always steal a kiss. About time, I had my arm around your waist like this. My whole life through, I wanna make you feel the way I do about you, about me, about love.
We're in deep water, darling, clear over our head. About time to either sink or swim.
Let's swim.
Enough said. About time, we should be picking out a wedding day, July.
No, June.
My folks were married in the month of May.
About now, about all that's left to do is let the secret out about you, about me, about us, about we, about your love and mine, about time.
Now that you've got finished with the mush, do you mind if I finish telling the rest of the story?
Go ahead.
I will, but you kids will have to turn over the record to hear it. Alice got hired as a school teacher the very first day we got into town. But the morning of the first day of school, Alice had to meet with the school board. So Joe suggested to Grandpa that he go to the school and tell us kids that there was to be no school that day. Grandpa went to our school all right, but he found one little girl crying because she had memorized a piece to speak in school and now there was to be no school. Grandpa always did have a heart as big as a barn, so he had all of us go into school for a short session. We heard Edna's piece, and she did okay. But then some of the kids began asking Grandpa questions, and he began talking a little politics and giving his opinion about whether Dakota should be one state or two. He convinced all of us kids that we should have our own opinions and speak our minds. I think it was the song he sang us about Johnny Shiloh that really was the clincher.
When the war between the North and South had only just begun, a little feller ran away and joined up with his drum. He became a drummer in a rifle company, the youngest, bravest drummer boy in history, 'cause he kept drumming, 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 while the enemy kept a-comin', drumming, 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 unafraid he held his ground, drumming, 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 while the enemy kept a-comin', drumming while the shot and shell was bursting all around. In the middle of a battle that looked like sure defeat, all the ranks began to break and someone yelled retreat. But not that little drummer boy. He stood there like a stone, and and played the battle role all alone. Yes, he kept
Drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin', 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 unafraid he held his ground. Drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin' while the shot and shell was bursting all around.
When the soldiers that were fleeing heard his drum and saw that sight, it was almost like a miracle. Their fear, it turned to fight. And how they fought and how they won is history today. Because that little drummer boy showed the way.
Yes, he kept drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin', 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 unafraid he held his ground. Drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin' while the shot and shell was bursting all around.
They say a rose that blooms in summertime must die when winter comes. But the memory of its perfume lives, like the memory of those drums. Well, now the war between blue and gray is fading in the past. But the courage of that drummer boy is something that will last. Yes, he kept
Drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin', 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 unafraid he held his ground. Drummin', 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 while the enemy kept a-comin'. Drummin' while the shot and shell was bursting all
When the word got around town that Grandpa had been talking politics in the schoolhouse, it raised a terrible ruckus. Grandpa and Joe Carter had an awful fight about it, and then Alice had a big fight with Joe.
She broke off her engagement is what she did.
That's what I said. They had a big fight. And then my pa had a talk with Grandpa about not interfering between Alice and Joe.
Daddy was absolutely right.
But Grandpa was only using his right of free speech.
You know Mommy's always had a rule about no politics talking in the house, and that's why.
Well, anyway, Grandpa felt so terrible about it all that he packed his suitcase and moved out. I felt so badly about it that I wanted to go with him, but my dad wouldn't let me.
I did too, in a way. There's nothing so awful as a family misunderstanding, especially when there's some right on each side.
But it all came out good in the end. Grandpa went to the school board and said he hadn't meant any harm and that he was sorry for what he had done. When he promised not to ever talk politics again, they gave Alice her teaching job back. That meant we all had to go back to school.
I was glad. I like school, and Alice is a wonderful teacher.
Laura, will you quit it? What has all that got to do with the story I'm trying to tell?
Well, tell it then.
It all ended the night of the election between Harrison and Cleveland. The whole town gathered in a big hall, and there was singing and dancing.
And Alice and Joe, who were still mad at each other, danced with different partners and tried to outdo each other in fancy steps.
West of the white Missouri, west of the white Missouri, west of the white Missouri, west of the white Missouri.
The gals have eyes that twinkle and shine. West of the wide Missouri, they kiss as sweet as dandelion wine. West of the wide Missouri, eastern ladies may be fine, delicate and feminine, but every gal's a Valentine.
Every gal's a Valentine.
West of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri.
The fellas don't wear city-fied clothes west of the wide Missouri, but all they know they're do-si-dos west of the wide Missouri. Eastern fellas may be slick, smell as sweet as a peppermint stick, but the boys that make them tiddly-eyed tick, the boys that make them tiddly-eyed tick,
are west of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri. Love's a treetop towering thing west of the wide Missouri. Every man becomes a king west of the wide Missouri. Even in a gingham gown, a gal's a queen without a crown. The day she settles diddly-eye down, diddly-eye, diddly-eye, diddly-eye down. West of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri, west of the wide west of the wide west of the wide Missouri, 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 west of the wide Missouri.
Pretty soon, the election returns began coming in. First, Cleveland was ahead, then Harrison, then Cleveland, and finally it was over. Cleveland had won 4,230,000 to 3,900,000 for Harrison. The Democrats, led by Grandpa, were really whooping it up when the telegraph man came in with another wire which said that Harrison had been elected president by the Electoral College. I still think it was a big jip.
That's because you just don't understand our Constitution.
But if more people voted for Cleveland, he should be president.
The Constitution set up the Electoral College, and there are so many electors from each state, and they vote the way that state's voters want it.
But more people wanted Cleveland.
But some states have a whole lot more people in them than others.
Okay, so Harrison is president. But Grandpa and the Democrats got what they wanted anyway. President Cleveland granted statehood to North and South Dakota before Harrison became president. And he also granted statehood to Montana and Washington, both of which were full of Democrats and would elect Democratic senators to Congress.
You forgot about Papa's speech.
Oh, yeah. There was almost a riot in the hall for a while, but our band stopped it by playing America. And then Papa told everybody what Grandpa had told him a long time ago, and that was, there's a time to stand up and fight for what we believe in, and there's a time to join hands and work together. So he suggested that this was a time for making up.
And that's just what Joe and Alice did. Joe walked right up to Alice and gave her a big kiss.
And she really slapped him for it.
But he picked her up in his arms and walked right out into the street and put her into a wheelbarrow. And Grandpa, to pay an election bet that he had made with Joe, gave them a ride right down Main Street with the whole town following.
I thought I was telling this story.
You were, but it's all over now.
Girls always try to have the last word.
Yes, we do.
Come hear the hullabaloo of our tuba. Hear the tickety-boom of our drum. Hear the tweedledee of our woodwinds. Hear the plinkety-plink and banjo strum. And when the razzmatazz of our brasses begins to pizzazz in the air something grand, better get ready to hear and better get ready to cheer the one and only genuine original family band. Play it loud, play it proud, for together here we stand. The one and only genuine original original family band.
Cheer, the one and only genuine original family band. We can play with virtuosity